Listen, we only get one shot at this.
Why not live life on our own terms? Hey everyone, it's Tom Kradza, and on this episode, Nick and myself sit down with a longtime Rockstar Inner Circle member, Anthony DeGazon, to chat about life, family, real estate, and something special that he's put together called the Child Enrichment Summit. The details of that, if you're listening to this and eventually you want to go check it out for yourself, it's coming up later this month, and all the details with the agenda are at www.childenrichmentsummit.com. We'll say that throughout the episode as well. But Anthony's decided to go above and beyond in his business. Together with his wife, they run several music studios here in the GTA. And they wanted to make a bigger impact on the people that they were serving. So they've put this event together. Just a really well thought out guy. Really appreciate his perspective. And the fact that we get to work with people of Anthony's caliber here at Rockstar really makes everything we are doing worth it. So hopefully enjoy this chit chat between friends. And if you are listening to this, you should know we have our own big event coming up. It's the Your Life, Your Terms event on Saturday, October 17th from 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. We are transforming the Rockstar training room here in the offices into a studio. So apparently we have a video wall coming in, multiple camera angles. This isn't just your regular Zoom thingy, is what I'm trying to explain. We don't know what we're doing, but we are doing something. So apparently this little studio we're setting up should be a bit fun. Who knows? You might see us fall flat on our faces in this thing, but we're going to try. So we're going to put this together, and it's on Saturday, October 17th. The content we know is going to be super solid. So we are going to put together a brand new Rockstar economic update where we talk about everything that we're seeing in the global economy and how it affects us here in Canada. We're going to do a local real estate market update. We're going to be talking about the Bill of 184 and how it affects tenants and landlords here in Ontario with Kelly Hawks, who's a senior paralegal who's going to come in and chat about that. We have Dave Butler coming in to talk from Butler Mortgages to talk mortgages and financing and the banks. And we're going to talk about the mindset that you require, we believe you require, the mindset that has helped us live life on our terms. That's how we're going to wrap the show on Saturday, October 17th. So we have a lot jammed into it. If you are not a Rockstar Inner Circle member, you probably haven't been getting emails from us about this thing. So you can go to this URL to check out all the details and grab a seat. It is www.yourlifeyourtermsevent.com. That's www.yourlifeyourtermsevent.com. That's it for now. Let's get on with the show.
Are you ready to live life on your terms? Is it time to take charge? Real estate, business building, the economy, health and nutrition, and more. It's the Your Life, Your Term Show with Tom and Nick Kradza. Are you ready? Let's go.
You're not driving me crazy because when you do this, when you tap this, it's while you're speaking. So I'm actually just laughing right at you while you're doing that. I'm just trying to help you. I'm like, hey, don't pat.
Wait a second. Do I have to call your mom?
This is
Yeah. Hold on a second. I'm going to ask Anthony something. Anthony, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Oh, great. Okay, that's good to know. I'm not even asking.
Oh, I've been replaced.
Yeah.
I've been replaced.
Nick, I know, can hear me because when I speak, he just interrupts me. So
I see.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
Very good.
So, Anthony, we are happy to have you here. We were just chatting on the music for your music studio. Are you musical at all yourself?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, you are. What do you? Yeah.
No. That's
No. I didn't. No. I had no idea.
No,
I guess
yeah.
I've probably asked that and forgotten.
Well, it was Rachel that initially started the studio, correct?
25 years. This is our 25th year anniversary for the school.
Oh, that's awesome.
This
Congratulations,
fall.
man. That's
I know.
amazing.
And
Any business that goes 25 years.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's amazing.
And any business owners that stay sane during the 25 years, that's an accomplishment in itself as well.
It is, yes. And sanity.
Yeah, it's kind of relative.
It's kind of the
a
way
little
it is.
relative.
Yeah. No, but she started it back at 25 years ago, and so here we are.
Because she started that before you guys were even married. Right?
We were married. She was just doing her first year at when she was teaching with York Region Board of Education, and parents just said, "Hey, you're really good at leading the school music program. Can you teach, my daughter after school?" And that's kind of how it started. Like that was the genesis. Someone
side
asked.
hustle becomes
Yeah, very
Exactly.
cool. Yeah, and And then you have multiple locations now, right?
Yeah, so we have 3. So one in Caledon, South Caledon, which is Bolton, one in Vaughan, Kleinburg, and one in South Mississauga, so kind of Clarkson, Lauren Park area.
Yeah, just to manage multiple locations, like everything that you guys do, that's intense.
You know what? It's great because it gave us an opportunity to design, be intentional about the business's design and what do you put in place so that we can actually still live the life that we had kids, right? Young kids when we were running the business earlier on, and it was growing. So we wanted to be able to be as present with our kids and give the most to our school. And the best way to do that for us was intentionality about design and technology and process. So we tried to build that in a lot so that the quality would stay high and we could be involved in the right areas as much as possible to get the most value.
That sounds really smart, Nick. We really should have gotten that kind of advice when we started. To start off consciously,
we're just trying to get some stuff done. We had a list, and we're like, okay, we got to do this next. We got to do this next.
Are we going to survive? Just yell at each other,
Yeah.
piss each other off, and then move on to the next day.
No, Rachel was gracious. I think just kind of this is kind of the way I think about it. So it's probably. I'm sure it would cause stress just having to think about these different types of things. But I was just saying, what if it grew? What if it grew? Right? What would we be able to? Would we like the life that we'd have if it was successful at this particular level? And thinking about that future hope, bringing that back. What would we have to design for now? How you know what I'm saying? Simple as a phone system. How would the phone system work? And
I'll give you guys a lot of credit just for, to work with you obviously have a lot of respect for the skills one another bring, because to be able to work with a spouse in a business and then have to go home and still have, deal with the kids, like the regular kind of family issues and challenges and just not even challenges, but just the things that have to be done.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And I don't know, I guess I've never experienced it, but it would take an adjustment period if I was to do with my wife. And I think the only way to make that work is if you guys have a lot of respect for one another's skill set. Otherwise, it's always, it just leads to a slippery slope downhill.
Yeah. And it's mostly hats off to Rachel, to be honest, right? Because she started the business, right? So if we started the business together, then it's like, okay, this is what you do and this is what I do. And then you kind of work it out, right? She started it, so she was responsible for everything. And then when I left the corporate world for good in 2005, then I started to enter her life from a business standpoint, right? So we had
young
so
kids,
how do you do
young
that?
Kids
three
too.
young kids, and they're active, and we're a sporting kind of family, and
dog too.
We got a dog too, Pepsi. She's just a cute Ganaraskin.
You guys
awesome.
and your dogs,
Yeah,
man. You
yeah.
give in,
Sienna
you
my
cave.
daughter just tricked me into getting a dog
Oh.
after 3 years. She made PowerPoint presentations, like she was reading books and giving us summaries. And I did not want a dog. We didn't grow up with a dog. I had no interest in a dog. I still don't think I want a dog, but we got a dog. And on Sunday, we're bringing this dog home.
Oh, you're just getting the dog.
No, and by the expression on
he's
your
laughing.
face. No, I know we're in for it. Mike over here just started laughing. He goes, remember when you laughed at me saying, you're just about to have young kids because my kids are already older than his. And he's like, now I get to laugh at you because you're getting a dog and you don't know what you're getting yourself into. And I'm like, no, I think I totally am. Well, I'm not totally aware. I'm semi-aware.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure I'm looking forward to it at all. I have a feeling. I was already told just now, actually coming back from lunch here, we were talking about who's going to walk the dog first thing in the morning, and I knew it was going to be me. I knew it was going to be me 100% of the time. But now everyone in the household has concluded it's me.
Who's going to get the food?
No, the food. Clean up. A friend of ours got a dog just 2 weeks ago, and it came on a plane from like Manitoba or something. I didn't know this was done. They picked up the dog at
Very
Pearson.
fancy,
it comes off. I can't remember the type of dog. Anyway, first thing it does, it gets into the house, and I guess it has like a wet shit on the floor. And Sienna, my daughter's totally freaked out by that. I'm like, Sienna, you in all your PowerPoint presentations, she said she was going to handle everything. She was going to take the dog out for walks. And I'm saying, this is on you. She's like, no, Dad, I just can't handle that. I was like, great.
Yeah,
so now I'm involved in all this stuff.
Yeah, it is coming.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, but that's a full family, man. Running that business, doing all that kind of stuff. And I didn't even know this until recently. Your education, you have a master's in what is it? Theology?
Yeah, so I have a master's. So I went to Waterloo, was in co-op, did kind of, it's kinesiology, so science and kinesiology, specialized in psychomotor behavior and software interface design. So I went to IBM after I graduated. So
That sounds like you went to IBM after you
It was
graduated.
fun. Yeah, it was great. So I did that. And then after that, I went to Bible college for a year where I met my best friend, Phil, and he later introduced me to his little sister, Rachel. Right?
Oh, really? That's how
got
that's
it.
I know. That's
At
it.
Bible college.
I know. Isn't
How
that pretty
convenient.
cool? It was really convenient.
It's like stereotypical Bible camp
Exactly.
stories and stuff.
yeah.
I know. Look who the brother brought home. And then so after that, I just was there for a year. And this was in Peterborough. That's how I got to know a little bit about Peterborough.
Oh, that's why your property's in Peterborough.
That's why I have a Peterborough property.
I had no
Yeah,
idea.
this just kind of has made it a possibility.
Should have bought it back then. It was probably
Free.
yeah. I was gonna say.
So then I was there, and then I did my master's theology here in Toronto at a school called Tyndale College and Seminary, and after that I did my MBA, which is
Then you did your
How much
MBA.
school
You're
did
so
you take?
well educated.
but I'm done. I think.
But you're
I'm
done?
done
Yeah,
I think
official.
you're done too, man.
I'm done.
You're
Cut
done.
off. Rachel says you're done, so I'm done. Yeah.
Yeah, but you enjoy the whole learning thing.
I do. You know what? There's so many. I didn't like to read as a kid. I just could never. You'd start these books and I'd be done. It'd just take too long to read the pages. That's kind of how it was for me. So school, but I always had a mind that was interested to figure out how things worked. That's why I liked science and the body and the mind, right? But then there was also I'm spiritually minded, so how can you learn more about God or what's in the Bible and how the story behind all of that? I wanted to understand that kind of deeply. So I went to seminary, so I got a master's there. But I love business. And I started loving that in school, like in my undergrad. So I did a little minor there, but it just wasn't done. So in the corporate world, as you're trying to move up a little bit, there are the people that, they've got degrees from Ivy and the degrees from here and the MBAs and stuff like that. And it's like, what do they know that I don't know? So I got an opportunity through the bank to start my MBA, and
we were just talking about that earlier today, how you always think other people have the information that you don't have. It was only when we got in business and we started going through a lot of pain in business that when we met other business owners who told us, yeah, I got everything figured out and life's good and they had no problems, we thought, oh my God, everybody's been full of shit.
Because you know it's not true.
Because we know it's not true. We definitively know it's not true.
Wait a second. I know this is true. Isn't true.
Yeah.
And I've met people who have shared that, it's not true. Okay, so it's all great, but you know what? This is what's really happening.
Yeah.
This sucks.
Yeah.
Totally. And I think it was that moment for us, like, oh my God, our whole lives, people were just lying when they said their job was all figured out and they were just killing it at work or they were killing it in their new business startup or whatever they were doing.
Yeah.
All of it has been lies.
Yeah.
And as soon as you know that, the world's your oyster.
Right. Because then you have a different view on the process, right?
Yeah, the grass isn't always greener. Because before that, if you don't understand that, you're like, oh my God, it must be so great. I want to be doing that because the grass is greener that way.
They're making so much money over there. They're doing it so easily.
Right.
But then to your point, it's the process, and that's what people leave out of the whole thing.
Right. And they're not even transparent on the process, right? So as you get to, either get good mentors or you get a peer group of people who are entrepreneurs or investors and stuff like that, then, when you get you join with people who want to be a bit more honest about life. You don't want to know everybody's baggage, right?
No, there's too much.
To a degree.
It's like,
to a degree.
okay, leave that at the door.
Yeah.
But it's nice to talk about what life is really like on some levels. As parenting, the dog, of course, you should just ask. I told you that's what
I saw it in
happened.
your face right away. As
Just
soon as
like,
I said dog,
that.
your face changed.
That's what happens, right? So anyway, that's what's nice. So, back to the schooling thing, I just love to learn, and I was glad to have that kind of formal education. But as it turns out, I find that there is so much more about entrepreneurship that they didn't tell me in B school. They didn't. They don't, because I don't think they even know.
So much more is like 90% of it.
Like 95%.
Because outside of the reports and like the financial reporting aspect of it, the rest of it is a lot of it is just not included in a formal education setting.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. Sure.
I remember reading this one book when I was at NetSuite, and it was the VP of sales from the UK gave us this book. I think it's called Good to Great, and it talks about getting the flywheel spinning.
Jim Collins, right?
I think
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Very well respected. And you know what? I picked up a few nuggets from that
Sure.
book, but I quickly realized reading that book and other business theory books that these things aren't very practical to an entrepreneur that's starting out. Like when you hear the message, I think in one of the books it was like some people aren't going to be in the right seat. Like if you don't have the right people in the right seats of the school bus isn't going to have like a smooth ride or something like that.
I remember I'm in every seat of the school bus and I'm driving.
Yeah. And I remember thinking like that was, oh, cool. Okay. I guess people are going to have to be changed around in the business, and maybe in a medium or large size business when it's growing, that can apply. But when you go out on the streets and start your own business, that message, you cannot turn that into dollars. Like there's nothing from those books, all the Harvard Business Review stuff that I used to respect so much.
Yeah.
And then when I came to be like an entrepreneur and try different websites and try different processes, real estate, flipping properties, I'm like, none of this stuff really applies anywhere.
Right.
Like not even 5% of it.
Yeah. I mean, it was like, I think when I was doing my bit, you would be doing your research and you'd read Harvard Business Reviews then. And then I read one last summer and got one thing from it again. Why? Because it's like there's a real business problem, and you're trying to figure out what can you find that can be brought to bear on that particular thing. What insight from an academic? It's like, okay, great. So these are the things that this is kind of like the retention rate piece, and it was on retention, right? It was an old one too. So that's kind of that's the way I'm doing it, right? It's like keep learning. What do you need to know now? Can you look into the future a little bit and see what you believe is coming down the road? Then what can you learn to try and adapt, right? This is...
How are you guys prepared? Like, so 20, we're coming, thing. I was going to say thankfully we're coming to the back end of 2020. What are you guys for the music skills? Are you preparing in a certain way, or what are you thinking about 2021, or what's your thoughts on some of this?
You know what? That's such a great question.
I don't know, just like, big economic or your schools in general.
Big questions, right? So we're in touch with other music school entrepreneurs. I'm working on a project we'll probably talk about a little bit later, which is gets me in touch with other organizations as well. And I'm just seeing that there is just so much changing. So as much as I say I believe this is what I think is happening in the future, I actually, even in my honest opinion, I almost don't want to say, hey, this is what I think is coming. Besides this one thing, which is that I believe the world has changed. And I believe that for us to have the best chance at serving the people, like we serve parents, we're a music school, right? So the parents and their children, the best way for us to serve them in this fluid and changing dynamic with a whole bunch of risk is for us to figure out how to serve them more deeply. Like that's almost it. It's like, if you want to still play in this game, and for me, I'm about trying to reduce my risk. And it's, for me to do that, I have to figure out how can we serve our existing audience more deeply than we currently do.
What does more deeply mean to you in your head? Is it like more well-rounded, like different services that they can offer? Is it just stronger relationships with those people? Sure. Like, what does that mean?
Sure. And I think it's actually it's in that area, but it's like saying, okay, hey, you know what? We provide something, right? We provide music lessons, one-on-one private music lessons. It's an enrichment type of activity, right? And then it's for a moment there, though, I'm thinking this is so much. The need is so much greater than what we provide. Could you take a moment and stop thinking just about yourself and your business and say, what else do parents? What else are they working with? What else do they need? What are the things that they're trying to work through for their families? Just think about that for a moment. And then is there some way that you can serve them in that way? And so I started to think back. Okay, so 10, 15 years ago, where was I at when I was the people that we're currently serving? What was on my mind?
You need someone to walk your dog is what you need.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Pick up the crap that Tom's got to pick up.
How do you do that? Hey,
this is really funny, guys. Yeah.
Sorry, but I know my dog's on the tail end, but I could have told you, really, you should have figured out this is the breed. How long will they live? When are the kids heading to school? And that could be a great dog.
Oh, yeah.
And
No,
the
we
time
worked
and
it all
place.
backwards.
Yeah.
Well, we totally did it backwards.
You got yourself a great dog.
Yeah.
So good for you. But so thinking back and saying, hey, what are the things that were top of mind for me as a parent? What kinds of activities? What kind of activities around dance? What kinds of activities around music or health or sport? Who are the best minds, the trainers, with best opportunities? Those are all the things that we don't actually provide those services, obviously, right? I'm not a hockey school, but we've figured out who those people are and the things that the criteria we use to actually bring those experts into our family's life. I wanted to share that with families because I know our families are trying to figure that out for themselves right now. So that's an example of how can you serve them more deeply. This is what's on their mind. You say, I've heard you're one of my mentors, you guys, right? It's like one of the things I remember you saying, it's like, what is the question? What is the thing that's on their mind today? And there are a whole bunch of things. Some of them will actually be something that I actually serve them directly for with music lessons. But there's a whole bunch of other things that if I'm creative, if I'm willing, if I, provide some energy around it, maybe I could actually serve them more deeply and say, hey, I know you're also dealing with this, and this is what we did, and here's a really neat expert that could be. Why don't you listen to them, and this is how it fits into maybe what you're trying to do with your family as you're trying to bring them up.
How much time a day do you spend thinking?
Yeah, you have
because there's a lot of thought into this, and from knowing you in the past and stuff, whenever you were answering things before, I respected the way you would answer, because you would always think. And I guess it goes back now knowing how educated you are, because it seems like because you had so many different things that you could pull from, you could piece together, just a very well thought out answer. But like listening to you speak, I'm like, this is a lot. You've put a lot of thought into this stuff. When do you
think?
Well, no, I was going to like, when do you end the thought? Like when you're doing that, because it's easy to just keep thinking about stuff.
Right.
At what point do you say, okay, I've thought about this stuff enough, I just do stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the thinking thread kind of goes on. So sometimes there was a professor that I had in my seminary, and he taught me a principle about having the eye of an eagle. So picture this: that you're an eagle, you're soaring above, high above the clouds, and all of a sudden there's a little movement in the field below, and there's something that you need, right? So the eagle swoops down and gets it. Now, it's just kind of scanning and living their life, right? And so I've had that mental model on this back thread of processing in my brain, saying sometimes things are going to come up and be introduced to you that either you don't have a good answer for, it puts you in an uncomfortable spot, but you go, you know what, there's really something there. So it was probably 5, 6, 7 years ago, and you asked me a question about, what is the value that you provide? What do parents need to know? And it was a deeper question than, how does a music lesson work, right? And when you asked that question, it was hard to kind of answer, and it never stuck me. It never left me. And so on some level, what I heard you asking me there was the question that says, what is the need for the people that you're providing with? And so back then it was like, okay, let me sit back and think about music lessons, because that's kind of what we had to evolve. So I think we got to get to a good sense around that. But now it's kind of getting to the point of there's more that can be done.
That's where the deeper comes in.
It's deeper, but it's not only deep and not doing anything. So with that first question, it's like, I've got to get that answer, because I think people need to know more about music lessons than the mechanics. What comes from it, the benefits, right? How does it change your life? How does it fit within a parent's ambitions for their children as they're trying to grow? What building blocks does it put into their culture, like character and resilience and all these kinds of things? Growth mindset. How does that build in? That's why music lessons are great. But there are lots of other things. So once COVID came, it became just so clear to me that the world has changed. It's kind of like the earth shifted on its axis, and I had to say, man, we have got to be bigger, better, serve more deeply, and give more to our families. And so that means like figure out who are the best sources to help me understand that, and then start to deliver on that. And so it was like, take action. Like once
that led you to the Child Enrichment Summit, which we'll talk about.
Absolutely.
That's all part of that. Got it. Okay.
Absolutely. So we had to get right to it. I know sorry, this was too much of a long answer, but that's just kind of what was at the heart of that and why we got into here. And it's like, yeah, we've got to get going. Too many great businesses, too many great people right now I'm hearing about and talking to. It's been so much of a struggle because of challenges around the mindset and like, how do we keep going? Like, how do we continue to do what we need to do?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
we're hearing the same.
There's been a lot
it's
of
hard.
that.
It's heartbreaking, right?
It's heartbreaking.
Did you have that? Because we didn't have that. And
No.
I don't know if it's because
It's all been in the
like,
last 6 months.
We're good at just focusing, and it's a strength and a weakness. And that's why I'm saying this is we're very good at just focusing on what's next. And sometimes that there's a downside to that too, which we don't have to get into. But I was just curious, did you have that as well when that all hit? Like those types of kind of almost like self-doubt in a way?
Yeah. So thankfully, I'm not just me. Like in our business, there's not one entrepreneur, there are two. So there's Rachel's mind, there's my mind, and so we went back and forth. Like it was the first weekend of the March break, right? So you have kids, right?
Yeah.
They're in school, and
that'd be a big week for you. Might be doing camps and stuff.
well, we just actually closed because we
normally would it be a big?
No, we actually stopped. This is
cool.
the where's the your life, your terms things.
Yeah.
This is where we say, we're not going to do. We didn't do anything, right? But we normally still work, but we don't run our lessons. Families have their families. Take time off. That weekend was like, you know what, something's happening, and I'm going, this is going to be a problem. There's no bloody way we're stopping lessons. It's too important. It's too important to our kids. It's too important to our family and our business. Like, if we stop, how will families ever restart? You know, like, there's going to be so many other distractions, and we want to make sure that they get what they've come to us for. And our teachers, what are they going to do? Because the programs weren't in place.
Yeah, the teachers too.
You know, all that kind of stuff. We have 30 plus teachers and office
but
staff.
the mental aspect for the kids too, because even while that's going on, for them to even continue learning, and to me, music is just they're just. I mean, there's how many studies are there on the benefits of that type of thing? It's just it also is helping them. It's not just the actual lessons, you know. So not just from a business standpoint, you're doing a service for people.
Service to the parents, because there's something meaningful for the children to do. Right.
Yeah,
so there's, you know, you've got younger children, right? Like intentional parents do have the heart for their kids and want them to have fun, want them to have downtime, chill time, but they also want them to be developing while they're under their roof and under their specific and direct care.
So what did you guys do? What did you come up with?
So we said, you know what, we have to keep going. So we, like, honestly, within a week, we trained our staff
on Zoom.
On a Zoom
Okay.
Zoom enabled platform, right? It's one that we use in house. We were just using it for our weeklies, thanks, because you guys did weeklies. We do weeklies. You said to do the weeklies, so we do weeklies, right, with our staff. So we used that and enabled it for our families to use it for music lessons. Figured out the design and implemented, communicated it, and so like Friday we're only in studio or some in home in different communities. And a week later, Monday, it's like 100% online, because that's the only option. Because
that must have been
we can't
chaos.
stop.
Yeah.
Well, you remember, it was like everything was going down.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yes.
They never thought we'd had this much use, right?
No.
And it was
supposed to be a
stressful.
2-week March break extension,
I know.
remember?
Yeah. I said, no way, we can't. I'm just kind of geared up. You said you're on to just the next thing. I say, look, this is the next thing. Even if we don't do it, let's make sure we have to be prepared, because it could be this. And I can't
That's an
not be
entrepreneur.
prepared.
That's an entrepreneur in action right there. Like, for you to take that much action that quickly maybe seems like nothing to you, but that's huge. For you guys to kind of come up with that and roll that out within a week with all your instructors.
Had to.
Yeah. How was it received by the parents?
So, shockingly, like 70% of the people, probably about 100% did it, but maybe 70% came on, which for us, I'm like, you guys are so awesome, because it was, you know, the technology, the platforms couldn't do the internet bandwidth. Like, nobody was ready for all of this. So they actually managed, and were great. And even today, we've opened up again in studio because of within the phase that we're in. It's one-on-one lessons, right? It's one child with one student in a room. So that's all fine. Separation's awesome. So we're in studio, but then still some families want to still stay online. So now we deliver lessons online and in studio, and some in home where it fits.
Pretty cool.
You expanded your services.
So
You have to adapt. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm curious on why did you get into, like, with all the education and you've started your business, why did you get into real estate? What was that about? What was that thinking? And you started with I don't know if you had properties before us, but you started with a multi-unit right out of the gates.
Right.
And now we know there was thought behind it, and a lot probably.
Tell us your thinking. What was going through that mind of yours?
Are you mocking
For 3.5
me?
years.
Wait a second. Are you mocking me?
No, we're
That's what I want to.
respecting
Do I leave now?
We're respecting it.
Yeah.
We're respecting it.
Because I act, and then after I'm like, damn, I really wish I thought about that before
Yeah,
I
I
did
we
it.
wish we think sometimes
Yeah.
a little bit more than we do.
I'm sure I do that too. But here's what happened for me. I do actually think about the future a little bit. And so I saw I was saying, here we are. We're not in the corporate world anymore. It's just us, right? My wife and I are a little business, right? So I looked into the future and I said, you know what? I don't think I like what this future is going to be, right? Because there's no pension, there's no 401k, whoever's listening, whatever. We just didn't have that built up. And saying, this isn't going to end the way we want it to end. So then it's like, what do we do to make this end the way we want it to end? And so that's when I started doing my research. Thank God I did my research and them like that, because then I found you guys and I found the stuff that you provided and it made sense to me. And I came out to your, I joined the mailing list. Like, thank God, or shoot.
Then we just
and then that was it.
Yeah.
No, but it's perfect, right? Because it's exactly what I needed, exactly what I was looking for. Someone who had it's thoughtful, serve highly, right? And let's get action oriented, which is what you talked about. Don't just think about it, get and do it. So we went and did it. And I said, what's the most efficient way? Because we have lots of things going with our kids. And again, the design, what's the design of this investment system for our future? It had to, for us, I just didn't want to be buying and seeing a ton of different properties all the time. I said, get some level of scale, mini scale, right? And get multiple units in one house, one address, maybe a couple of furnaces, depending upon the size of the building, because some of them are a little bit bigger. And just do it that way. So then, one lawn, one lawn, one or two furnace, one roof, one
Rachel
driveway.
on board for this?
Yeah, you know what? It was. There's there's a bit of the marketing that you have to do, saying this is what I'm seeing in the future. This is the pain. What picture are you trying to
marketing.
paint?
I always think it as like selling, but yeah, you're marketing the idea.
You're selling the idea. It's like the same, right? It's like, so this is what I see the future is. Do you agree that you think this is what the future is? Okay, great. So do you want this and this? Do you want that or that? Okay, if we want to have this, or try and have that picture, this is where the way I think is the best route possible. And
why? Why did you think real estate?
For us, I'd read some books and heard some, arguments and said, you know what, there is somewhat leverage in the bad, not in the bad sense, but in the good sense, right? You're leveraging a number of families' need for a wonderful place to live. So that is a stream that families are that's just driving down. So you say jump into that river for an illustration, right? So if we could serve people in a need that they currently have and try to do a good job at it, then that would probably work. Multiple families working for themselves to provide a home for themselves, and if we can inject ourselves into that need, that's probably a good thing. I can't get 5 jobs. I can't get 10, 12. I can't get 19 jobs, right? We have, that's kind of how this works when you get it to scale, right? At least. So if you can try and figure out a way to multiply your effort, even if it's like exponential versus just additive, and that's what the multifamily thing for me was. Is like it's kind of taking one step that's an exponential jump in terms of the benefit. And for me, the way we have our investment thing for our business is that there was a matter of time horizon. When do we want the money? When do we need the money? And for us in this, I'm not saying that we're all so rich and everything. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying the need that we had was a future-based need. So
your business was generating income for you now.
For now, right. The active business, right? So I'm saying let's be disciplined and try and keep that the way that is. But then we want a plan in place for the future, because someone's got to take care of us in the future. And this is a way. It's a system that builds up, capacity, equity and cash flow for the future. It was perfect.
I'm curious, how old were you when you looked at things and said, okay, we got to figure out something for the future, because, the way you're looking into the future and the way it ends, you're like, I'm not so happy with the way it ends. I got to make some moves now. Do you remember how old you were, like, when you were thinking that?
So I was interviewed for something last week, and maybe this is an example. This is probably the earliest example, but it was just like, I remember saying I wanted something. I was I think 12 years old. I was in the junior high, Domino's junior high.
Oh God, you're that young. I thought you were going to take 30s.
No, but this is a small example though, because I think this is, and it worked, right? So I was in the principal's office. I don't know if I was being bad or good, but I was there. On the wall, they had this little picture of these 2 athletes of the year, and I said, man, that looks really cool. I want that. I want to do that. And that was just like saying, okay, great. There's something that I want. It's in the future, and just say, yep, that's the future picture that I want. That's the earliest time I ever remember seeing that. And I think just that, and it actually worked. For whatever it's worth, I was athlete of the year as a junior high kid. So whatever that's
slipping
worth.
that in the story, slipping that in
self-promotion, right? There you go. This body doesn't come for free, So no, but the idea was this, that, that actually could work. That was the first time it was like, hey, I like something that's not going to be coming this instant. It's going to come in the future. And I said, yeah, that's what I want. And somehow it happened. And I think just that quick feedback loop was kind of an example of all these other things. Look into the future for something that you want and kind of decide on that, and then start somehow it changes your behavior.
So where I was coming from is, I think for me, it was my early 20s. When I started working in the region of Peel, I was there for a little bit. I was like, I think by being here, I can tell I'm not going to be happy in the relatively near future. And then I started kind of mapping out where it got me in 20 or 30 years. I'm like, you know what, this is no good. And then for a lot of my friends, where I saw it generally start to happen was probably early to mid 30s. Because they had gone through a couple life events, right? Maybe marriage, maybe kids for some of them. They've been in some sort of career for a little while. And then at that point, they were like, so this is it? So this is it now. Like, I'm in let's say I'm 32 and now, so I got 30 more years. I'm just going to kind of walk this path.
You have a mortgage.
They're like, so what now? So and I was wondering if the timeline specifically for the real estate stuff, when you looked at it, if it lined up with that. It was just more personal curiosity.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. And hopefully this is answering it more closely. It's just the idea of, it was the big, all of a sudden when I thought about the future, I started to panic, realizing that the future was going to come. It's coming for sure, and it wasn't going to be the way I wanted it, unless I had some kind of a big change. And that's why I had to figure out.
Is that also why you quit your corporate job?
I quit the corporate job because as much as I used to love it, it was just, it got to just be,
the politics or the monotony?
It was more the politics, and maybe that's just a reflection of who I was, right? Because the politics were working very well for me for a long time, and the politics were
you grew past it.
Yeah, but the politics were working for other people at the time. So I'm not trying to say that the organization was totally messed, because maybe I might have said that in the past, but I'm not in hindsight. I'm just saying, you know what? I couldn't make that work anymore. I did not like it. Why am I building somebody else's thing? Why are they changing the strategies? Why aren't people working together to help me accomplish what I need for the corporation too? I'm just done. And I'm just so thankful that I got to leave the corporate world for good back in August 2005. It was just like, thank God. I know you guys left, right? So it was just like,
it's
good.
interesting,
it's like a good clean close and just start again. Right.
But the way I look at it, you had two things. You were able to look and extrapolate into the future. Yeah. That was number one. And you did that from the principal's office, looking to the athlete of the year, but then you've done that your whole life. And the other thing is you have a time preference strategy in which you don't need to be rewarded immediately. Yeah. You are willing to suffer. And I just find Nick and I were talking about this earlier. That's the absolute key to success in everything we've seen, whether it's saving money. Yeah. Yeah. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's
suffering. To be clear, it doesn't have to be suffering.
No, but look, I'll take this to the extreme. If you look at the economy today, everything the government wants to do, they solve by printing money, which we all know through different discussions. It's instant gratification. Right. There's never this savings at a government level. And because the government never accumulates capital properly and just prints money and throws it into the economy because it needs to satisfy itself immediately, we get asset prices going up. We get the middle class being destroyed. We're getting social unrest popping up its head in all different reasons. And it's because of the economic foundation is a very immediate gratification kind of culture that we have at our base economic foundation of our society.
Right.
And I find that at the bigger societal level, but I also find at the personal level, it serves you too. Anyone who needs to be instantly gratified, they're always looking for the get rich quick, or how do I make money immediately, or I'm going to bet on these stocks because I heard and I've been there too, by the way. Oh, yeah. By the way, I've totally been there. Mine were I never forget, someone sat next to me at Oracle and they're like, I'll never forget, it was Benny, I don't want to say his last name, but he leans over, he goes, Tom, this mining company, through the roof, it's like 11 cents right now. It's going easily to like $2. And I'm doing the math. I'm like, I'm in. Yeah. And I didn't have that much money to spare. Probably put in, I don't know, a couple $1,000. For me at the time, that was a lot. Right. And to watch it go just to like zero just crushes you. And then to try that strategy over and over again. I think it took me, I'm a slow learner. I think I must have lost like over $10,000 before I realized, wow, making money easy and the quick way isn't going to work in mining. So let me try something else. And I went down like three other rabbit holes.
But eventually there was a thing going, oh, that doesn't work so well. right?
Exactly.
There's too much risk around it. I've given up too much control. I'm not actually involved in it. I'm not willing to put in the time.
Well,
and
to
try
be the
create
athlete
it.
of the year, you had to suffer. You had
Great.
to put in the work.
Man, you should have seen how hard it was in grade 8.
Yeah, no, I know. I know it was grade 8. I know it was grade 8. Okay.
Yeah, I never should
But
have. Okay, we're going to strike this from the record, folks. Here we go.
No, but you had to put in the work. For Nick to go and buy the properties, he had to save up the money.
Right.
And Nick's always been good at saving up money. And so that when an opportunity came up to him to be able to capitalize on it, he could. He had capital formation because of a low time preference or need to be able to spend that spend that money, and then he could capitalize on the opportunity. So I guess my point is
anything though, like even if you look at, because some people will be like, well, it's not really with everything. Like, look, people can play poker, right? But if you look at the poker players, the ones that really actually make money off it, they're putting in a lot of time and effort to become good at the game, right? Because there are professional poker players that do make money. However, most of the people, even back in poker in its heyday, I had friends that were like, yeah, I make money. But then all of them stopped playing. And I'm like, you know what? If you were making money,
Then
why'd you stop playing?
Yeah.
Right. But there are people, the ones that go deep and then they put in the real effort and they really kind of study the game and they go after then it does. But it applies to everything. No matter how get rich quick it seems, it still applies to it.
everything. Look at business. You look how much value you're trying to offer your customers and clients and the kids that you work with. You're thinking the long game. Like just briefly talking to you here, you're thinking the long game, whether you're verbalizing it like that or not. But in real estate, we always meet people who are looking for the quick money. We'll meet a real estate agent who thinks they deserve more commission than they deserve or are trying to screw somebody in a certain way. Whereas every interaction we're looking at, we're like, hey, if it costs us money today to do the right thing today, great. Because that means our future is more secured because we're doing the right thing today.
Right.
Our reputation grows. And not even that we want our reputation to grow, but like we just know we're setting the foundation that's going to serve us well for the future.
Right.
And so hearing you say that, it's like you just operated like that since you were a kid, which is interesting.
Different times it came in, and I'm sure some things didn't work sometimes, but just remember these kinds of things. What do you think? Do you think people kind of, it's like the masses have a thought like this kind of thought? It sounds kind of countercultural, right? It sounds like not everybody is thinking this way, like this entrepreneurial mind. You know what? I spend time trying with my kids, trying to help them see how we do things. Why do we do things, right? Because I don't think they're getting that messaging outside, even with their peer group, right? So I just think everyone is different.
Yeah, and I think everyone needs to learn their own way. Like I learn best from experience. So no matter what someone actually tells me, until I live it, and even if I have to go through the hard times and I make I got to do stupid things to realize, man, that was stupid. And then the next time I am able to learn from it. So I don't repeat the stupidness over and over again. Some things I'm sure I do.
Yeah.
But it's but I learn from it. But if someone is just trying to verbalize the lesson to me, it's much harder for me to really put that as part of my lifestyle until I go through it. And then I kind of have to see it. I have to see real life examples.
And you're taking action to do it, right? You're taking action and you're willing to learn from it, which is a great thing to hear.
And in a lot of things, like, it started when I was younger. And a lot of times I was like, when I was a teenager, man, I was like the guy that did all the stupid stuff. It was like, oh, why don't you go?
I can verify this to be true.
Like, why don't you go jump off that thing? I'm like, yeah, okay, let's try that. Like, let's just do anything, the most ridiculous things you can do. Yeah. I'll try it. And then slowly I was like, man, this is really stupid. Like, I should stop doing these stupid things. There's probably better things I can do with my time.
That's fun.
It's funny how we're all different. So for your kids, I think they're going to learn it differently because Nick and I are obviously brothers and I learn differently. For me, I need reflection. I need quiet time. And if I read something from somebody I deem worthy to give the advice, it's very powerful to me. So if I read something from someone I've decided knows what they're talking about, and I don't know, I don't have my criteria for why I've decided. It might be life circumstances, how it was referred to me, who knows. Mm-hmm. And then I can think about it a little bit, reflect on it. Then I don't actually have to go and do it like you'll do it. And I'll decide that this is the path for me.
Yeah.
And so I think that's just an example of your kids. Yep, one of them is going to be like Nick. One of them is going to be like me. And who knows?
And then you move along.
And you just move along your own path.
Yeah. But if you can give them the perspective, so whether or not they learn from it or not, at least, in my opinion, at least if they understand or realize there's another perspective, that is, I think that's the advantage you can give them that they won't, because they don't get that. They don't get that through the formal education.
Right.
It's not a mainstream conversation that's had elsewhere.
Right.
And I think that's what you can offer them that is just not easily accessible elsewhere.
And it's important because it's part of what we're talking about, because we didn't grow up in an entrepreneurial home, neither Rachel nor I, right? So these concepts that we're talking about, they kind of happened upon us somehow. We were thinking, ooh, I don't really like the way this is going, this corporate job. Maybe someday I will, run my own business when I'm 55, right? Maybe then, then it will be then. But, being open to these ideas.
You look great for 55.
Well, that's because I'm only going to be 54, I guess. That's
no, but I mean, I think you should knock 15
good for you,
years
man.
off that.
Good for you. Yeah.
Black
You have more.
Black don't crack.
So, I heard that for the first time last week.
Yeah,
I'd
now
never
we've heard it
that
twice.
before.
Yeah,
Now I know.
So funny.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
But thank you. So I think that's kind of it. The neat thing is that somehow we thought there was the way life was going right now, it's not so great. And then somehow you got in touch with another way of thinking about how things could go. And then you started trying new things, right? This is what
I wish there was a definitive way to give that to our kids. But that's why it's cool what you're doing and trying to do, because someone's kids might come to your music school, find out what you're doing with different things, and maybe from one of the people who are speaking at we'll talk about this now, that maybe they'll get some message and it won't come from their own parent. Like, who knows?
Sure.
And I think the more we can surround our children by other people who are doing things or attempting to share that type of positive influence, the better.
Right.
And because I think about it for my kids all the time too. I think sometimes people look at Nick and myself and they're like, well, your kids are going to have they're going to get all the lessons. And, and it's like, well, yeah, we are trying to share stuff, but who knows?
But we're trying because we're parents and we're trying to figure it out. We're trying to do our best. Right. And it's great. I like the point that you made too, though, right? Because some people are doers, some people are thinkers, and both are valid.
100%.
And you need to, as a parent, I'm just rethinking me as how much did I appreciate that? And I want to add that perspective to the way I'm trying to continue to be a parent to my kids, right?
What are your kids? Go ahead, Nick.
I was just curious, as far as the real estate side of things, so there's the business side. What about the real estate side with your kids? How did have you tried to get them involved in that or had conversations around that? And is there any interest from them about that stuff?
Sure. They've all expressed some kind of interest level about doing it themselves, some more intensely. This is what's funny. I was saying early, I just finished listening to the podcast with you guys and Aiden. And then within days, one of my middle ones said, "Hey, Dad, do you think I should get a credit card so that I can start building up my credit so that I can get it?" It's like, I cannot believe you're asking me right this way.
You know how many times I've had people say that about that episode and then having their own kids talk
just
about
going, "What are you listening to my..." Right? So anyway, I got off track just thinking about that. But there you go. So ask the question again.
No, I'm just specifically around real estate.
Yes.
Yeah.
So absolutely. Because you know what? I like to share about part of, as much as disclose as much as valuable for them to understand. But I'm just saying, hey guys, this is how we're trying to solve for the future. I don't know how else to solve for the future. This is how we're trying to solve for our future. And this is what we're doing. And so we'll talk about interest rates. We'll talk about inflation. We'll talk about...
I'm so happy to hear this.
We'll talk about amortization. I was just doing the taxes with my oldest guy. Well, this is amortization works like this. Depreciation works like, this kind of stuff. It's great. Hey, how nice is it that we actually have learned some things that we can just kind of share? What the heck, right? This is all we're doing. It's
I take advantage of opportunities when Sienna's starting to talk more and more about some money stuff.
How old is she?
She's grade 9, so she's 14.
Okay, yeah, sure.
And but Aiden now, he bought a bunch of Tyler Harrow playing cards, not playing cards, sorry, sports cards, trading cards. And he's a player on the Miami Heat. He's a rookie on the Miami Heat. And he dropped 37 points 2 games ago. And he called. He's like, "Dad, I bought those cards for $40. That looks like they're now selling for $100 and $120. And I'm like, how much did that go up? Let's figure it out percentage-wise." And I'm like, Aiden, for something to go up in value, that percentage-wise, that is absolutely huge. And he bought a bunch of them because he heard Jimmy Butler in an interview early this year before COVID say, "This rookie, he's a baller." Oh. And then Aiden had concluded that if Butler says that, this guy can play. Yes. So he went out and got a bunch of his rookie cards.
Oh, then.
Yeah, he got them
Oh,
then. And he
man.
just sat on them. And then with COVID, they started to go up in price a little bit more. And now with the playoffs and them being in the
And
finals,
then what he's done.
so he's so when did he drop 37 points? Like last week? I think it was last week.
like that.
And Aiden called. He's like, Dad, check out eBay. Look what they're selling for now. So then I take these opportunities. Well, let's think about this here. What did you buy? You bought this asset, and because the demand went up and this performance of this guy went
So
up.
I see the FaceTime call of him at Western, and he's like, "Yeah, here's all the cards. Look, here's the new cards I got." And I'm like, "I don't think he's doing any class stuff.
Yeah. And then
he's
I
doing
asked him-
virtual trading cards."
Yeah,
right?
so I'm trying to teach him all this accounting. So we have a spread because he's taking accounting. I'm like, how's the accounting class going? I haven't had time. I'm looking at all these cards. So I'm trying to give him an education and all this business stuff that he's in his business program that has nothing to do with his business program, right? So I think as parents, we take our opportunities when we get
Take them
them.
when you can. It's fun, right?
It's totally fun.
It's kind of neat, right? So there you go.
That's many discussions on Wayne Gretzky rookie cards and inflation and deflation.
I've heard those.
And
Exactly.
Much of that kind of stuff.
That's so good.
But, where are your kids now? What's the latest with yours?
So one's just finished Waterloo University, so he's still there. He's working out there. Actually, he's helping us. He's helping us with our social media marketing campaign on Facebook. I was saying he's been working on the side with a marketing startup, and he's sharing the stuff. Back in the day, I was showing him stuff, and then he started showing me what he was doing with his campaigns and how he's building them out. I'm going, okay.
Nice, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, you know more than I do now. Okay, why don't you? So he's doing ours, which is kind of cool. Another one, my middle one has finished hockey now. He actually hung up the skates. So,
wow, that must have been tough.
It is. Yeah, it was so tough for him, but it's just so much fun. What a great thing to be able to see that kid's doing that. So anyway, he's he had started part-time at Ryerson in Commerce, so he's full-time doing that now. So that's good. And then my youngest daughter, she's 18, where we would see our kids on the soccer field together. She just graduated, and she's at Mac for commerce, first year commerce. So they're doing their accounting and their stuff in their rooms. It's like crazy.
So and she went down there, even though there's no in-person school. So she stayed home.
Yeah,
because a lot of the students
first year, there's no residence.
Yeah, but some of the first years
some
still
of them
went
did.
to.
They tried.
Got a condo or a house or whatever, right? So good for, I guess, those student rental people.
Well,
And my kids are home.
One of the property managers was just telling Mike on our team that they've never seen this before.
Okay.
But some students have signed leases for May 1st, 2021, ending April 30th, 2022 already. They said, we've never seen people sign leases this early.
I don't understand why they do that.
They don't have an answers for it either. I don't know if just students think there's more demand because, some of the first year students couldn't get residence and weren't out there. Everyone wants to lock up their house. But
Imagine,
we
want to go away to school, but what if we can't use residence? So now there's more demand for the house.
Yeah. So how everybody thought the demand for student rentals was going to fall?
Like private student rentals, right?
Yes, private student rentals. Everything we're seeing on the streets it's the direct opposite. Demand for student rentals has increased. We'll see if that continues. And so what are we now? We're at the end of September, beginning of October here of 2020. We'll see how this goes.
Well, this is an example of the reason why I was a bit reluctant or hesitating when you asked, so what about the future? What do you see changing? I'm going, I just believe something significant has changed, and therefore we have to be able to adapt and be ready for it, and don't just think it's the same, right? And operate differently, because that's a perfect example. We're thinking about the future. We look at all the economics. We've got this one, that I never would have connected the dots to say, oh, right, of course. But of course, why couldn't that be a plausible reason for why that?
Yeah, why the demand increases for student rentals. So how did you when is the Child Enrichment Summit taking off, launching? Give us the story.
Okay, cool. So back in June, I said I just committed to say, okay, great. We're doing as much as we can right now. We're online. Maybe we'll get back in studio sometime to teach in person. So that started in September. But I said, okay, what else could we do? What else do what else are they working with now? And so I said, okay, let me try and find and bring together, 20-ish or so experts in things that people that have served our family well over the last 15 years. So people that are dealing with music, of course, experts in musical theater and professors at university, top heads of other music schools, body and kind of health, people that were trainers, top experts in health and naturopath doctors, like so many cool experts like that are dealing with enriched kids, right? And the last one is mind and spirit. So people that are working with kids to help explain spiritual things, people that are sports psychologists for performance, and psychoeducational assessment experts, clinical psychologists. These kinds of people are children's authors that are dealing with resilience and helping to share these kinds of concepts with kids. These are the things that parents need to, these are the kinds of things that I would wanted to have known about easier, right? To have a cheat code to say, if I'm looking for this, who would I talk to? Why should I consider them? Why is it more than just the basic service that they're offering? You know, is it just about music lessons? Is it just about stick handling better? Is it just about learning how to pass a rugby ball better, or a music lesson? No, there's something deeper going on. And the deeper things are the things that are so much more valuable to parents and kids, to me. And I love music lessons, I love sports. But it's like, how do kids develop more of a growth mindset? How do they become more resilient and do something and realize it's not working out and learn how to problem solve? That's what a crazy life skill that is. And imagine if, you know, being intentional, loving parents, if we looked for activities and providers of those activities that know that this is also what they're trying to build into their activity for the kids. Like that connection, that thoughtfulness about your selection, I think it's a really critical layer to add on to what we're doing for our kids.
These are people who have expertise, but you think they're bringing a different, higher level of purpose or meaning to what they're trying to share.
Absolutely, over and over. So on October 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, there's a free Child Enrichment Summit that we're hosting. And it's virtual, so it's going to be online given where we're at. And we've got people from all over in Canada, in the US, experts in child enrichment. And they're sharing what they do, why they do it, why is it more than the product or service they offer, and how does it align with trying to enrich and build up and build in the kinds of things that every loving parent wants for their kids. Absolutely. And we're talking about a bunch of those kinds of things, right? How do you plan?
Yeah, you have a pretty good lineup of people,
They're
all
incredible.
different backgrounds.
These top-notch people. Some of them are like world-renowned. They travel the world. We're dealing with, you know, working with NHLers, MMA athletes, you know, big-time thing. It's pretty cool. Some of the influence that they have, and to be able to just sit and listen to them in this context and find out. It's hard being a parent, hey? Sometimes, what do we know, right? Mm-hmm. We're trying our best, but it's just nice to be able to sit and actually hear from an expert, share why what they do can be beneficial to you as a parent and to your kids. That's it.
Yeah, because we're limited to our own experiences. So, I mean, Absolutely. How much have you not experienced? You know, you've only experienced this tiny much compared to everything. So if you can get people sharing theirs, it's valuable. Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
So there's an agenda published for this thing. I guess you can pop in and out for the 3 days or be there for the whole 3 days.
Yeah. So at the childenrichmentsummit.com, the URL, and there's going to be a special link for people listening to this Rockstar podcast below. But when people come, you can come and get your free ticket. You can, for those 3 days, you'll be able to listen to the 6 to 9 speakers on each day for the 24 hours. It'll be up for there. Listen to it as much as you want. Next day, there'll be another lineup. So first day, music. Second day, body and kind of sport. Third day, mind and spirit. And these experts will be on there. And really just such a great breadth of things that help to contribute to just the experience.
What's the cost?
And the future
How
of the
are you
kids.
doing this again? What's the cost of it again?
It's absolutely free to everybody coming for those open sessions. You can upgrade your access.
So you're having a combination of sessions. That's right.
Yeah.
I got it.
But you know, every expert's going to be providing their session for free, and there will be an opportunity to, if you're really interested in something and you want to go deeper and you want to hear more.
That's right.
There's an opportunity to do that. But we wanted to make it so that the open sessions, like 19 of them, they're all just going to be there and available for free. Entrepreneurship, living life. It's so many things. It's like, I'm so excited about it. I'm so thankful that, you know, people would take time out of their busy schedules and time to say, yeah, you know what, we do want to be able to help families, parents, and then by extension, then their kids, right? To get access to these things and to know how to start building it. You know, remember we talking about looking into the future and planning for it? How about looking into the future for the things, the skills and attributes and characteristics that we know that our kids will need, because that's what we're reaching for ourselves. Look into the future, pull them forward, and expect those things out of the activities that we're planning for our kids. We're planning for them anyway.
Anthony's a really nice person. I said this when he first sat down. He's really well thought out, well spoken. You're a good guy.
It's a good skill. I can think until Thursday. That's 2 days from now, and then that's
no, but
it.
to your benefit, you'll go out and just do stuff,
just
and
go
like
and
you'll
get it
learn
done.
from
Yeah,
them,
yeah.
you know. So
So I'm trying to do stuff. Thankfully, it's not just pie in the sky. It's like we're going crazy because this is such a neat thing to be able to do. I'm so excited to be able to do this, to bring this to families. It's just such a cool event.
It is a cool event.
Well, who knows where this leads to? You might do this again. And I guess if anyone's listening to this after these dates, is this going to be recorded?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So it's live, virtual. It'll be accessible there. It's free during that time. These are good questions. I mean, it'll for people who upgrade
they can go and check it. They can go to the URL and check it out.
Absolutely. So for people who definitely upgrade their pass, they'll be able to see that and have it on unlimited access.
Got it.
But if you want to see it for free, come and see the event. Get your ticket now. Share it if you want to share it. If you think somebody would be interested in it, do it. But please come. There's going to be something for every parent. And certainly things for every kid.
As we wrap here, I'm curious, with someone like yourself who puts some intentional thought into things, did you have any morning routines over the COVID time when everybody was locked down? I think Nick and I went through, I don't know if we hit like 1 week in particular where I think we were both breaking. I know I was. Where we hit like this low point.
It was just the amount of virtual stuff for me. I got so sick of staring at my computer and holding like meetings or being on webinars and stuff. I'm like, guys, I don't. It was too much. I don't know. At least at that time, maybe I hadn't adjusted. I'm not big on like a heavy virtual environment. I like people, and I like to interact with people. So I that's what was breaking me.
There was a few weeks where we were coordinating paralegals, lawyers, mortgage brokers. We were trying to give our own updates to the Rockstar Inner Circle membership, and it was just getting intense.
Yeah, it was hours upon hours of staring at that stupid little webcam on your computer.
Then preparing for it and then delivering the content. It got to us. It was the first time I think in this business where we sat down and thought we're exhausted. Like we're genuinely, this is too much. But then we came out of it somehow.
Right.
I don't know.
Yes. We
shook it off.
Like thankfully things have opened up a bit, and our schools, we're operating in person. We're getting to see families again, connections with the teachers and the students. So that's quite nice. So love to see that continue. But to answer your question, it has been also kind of hard for us too, because as entrepreneurs, all the uncertainty and what's the impact, your family, all that kind of stuff. So the thing for us, we were trying to do something on top of what we do with our core business. So it required getting up earlier. So now with this thing that's just ahead of me and such excitement around it, like it's like 4:30, 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning. I'm just awake, and it's like, okay, got stuff to do. Whereas I would still be the first person to wake before that, just kind of go through. If you're going to read something to help your mind, your spirit, you read that in quiet and get your coffee bite before everybody gets up and stuff like that. That normally used to start about 6.
Walk the dog?
No.
I'm joking.
I'm joking. That's a good question. You will be. Yeah. So get ready for it. So that's what it would be. So basically, being first up became being first up an extra hour, maybe an hour and a half earlier on many days to be able to do this extra thing. It's just so important. When you get to a picture in your brain, you go, man, this is so exciting. It's so important. What great value. It kind of pulls you along. It does.
We are goal-driven people.
Yeah,
Although, we are goal-driven humans, organisms, whatever. We are goal-driven.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. You found something that gave you purpose.
Even more.
And it drove,
there was
totally
life to
see
it.
that. Yeah.
So, which is great because it got my brain off of you just talked about the present, right? We're so here and now focused in terms of the money that we spend or what we try to do. But this is a future thing that's coming. And it just kind of got me off of some of the here and now, which was helpful because a lot of the here and now, if you're just watching all the news and all that stuff, it's right. It's heavy. So there you go. This was helpful for me. That was a strategy. Get up early and think about something in the future and work towards it, and serve deeply, add more value for others if you can. Figure out a way to do that. Why not, right? It's pretty cool.
Very cool. Anthony, thank you for this. Really appreciate it, man. Can't wait to hear how this goes. Yeah, this was fun.
Yeah,
thanks, man.
It's great.
Hey, hold on. Did you guys share the URL for everyone?
childenrichmentsummit.com. I think it's
did?
www.childenrichmentsummit.com. And we'll link out to it wherever you're listening to this. We'll have it in the show notes at the bottom of the YouTube video. We'll have it linked out.
Yeah, thanks for doing this. I appreciate it. Love coming to talk to you guys. Great spot.
Yeah, awesome. We didn't even mention that Anthony's been a Rockstar Inner Circle member. He knows more than me since we think 2012.
Well, was that 8 years?
So 8 years. Thanks, man. You've supported us for a lot of years.
You guys have certainly poured out a ton and over the top. So I'm actually, if anything, I'm trying to be more like you guys, trying to do just over and above more and help others. That's kind of what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do what you guys do. I appreciate it. We all do. And so I'm trying to do my part too.
Yeah, you should know that
you're doing it.
You're doing it. When we get to associate ourselves with people like you, it gives us confidence and encouragement in days where we might doubt ourselves.
Fun.
So you're serving us when you're not even knowing
There you
that,
go.
right?
Oh, that's great.
So thank you. Hey everyone, it's Tom Kratz again. Hopefully you enjoyed that chat with Anthony. We always love it when people are going above and beyond to serve the community and put together things that we think are really valuable. If you want to check this out, you can go to the URL www.childenrichmentsummit.com. That's the event that Anthony's putting together. The dates I have right here in front of me. It's Wednesday, October 21st, Thursday, October 22nd, and Friday, October 23rd of 2020. If you're listening to this after those dates, I'm sure there'll be some way to get some sort of recordings or something, and you can check it all out at www.childenrichmentsummit.com. And thank you for listening. We really appreciate the opportunity to do all of this. That's it for now. Until next time, your life, your terms.